going to be setting up MEI susceptibility trays. We need a tray for each patient and a tray for a Staph aureus control, a tray for MEI control, and then we'll have 3 patients here. Each patient and each control gets a blood sterility plate, Staph aureus, MEI. I also transfer my MEI for the next week, and then I have 3 patients, and each patient gets a blood sterility plate. Now, we have to make a McFarland, 0.5 McFarland suspension of the organism of either the patient or the QC bug in water. So what I need to do our 0.5 McFarland is this. This is our negative control, and our 0.5 McFarland, as you can see, has light turbidity to it. And that's what we're going to be making our suspension with. This is our Staph aureus. I'm going to take just a little bit. This is just water. I put about 2 mLs of water. Compare our 0.5 McFarland with our patient. In this case, it's our QC bug, so we're okay. I need to do the same for our MEI. This is our MEI QC bug. Here is our McFarland, so we're okay with that. I'm going to continue to do this for the rest of the patients. Now we have our 0.5 McFarland made in water of all of our organisms. So what I'm going to do is take out 50 microlambda of our 0.5 McFarland. And then we have pre-diluted, I should say, this is our solution that's going to make us a dilution. It's a cation adjustment, Mueller-Hinton broth. Okay, so that's what we're going to be using for making our dilutions. ml into that, and I'm going to vortex this. Vortexing is important. So we want to get a good vortex there. And then my sterility plate to make sure everything's all nice and sterile. And the rest is going to go in this little trough. So now I have a multi-channel diluter. And I'm going to suck up our dilution we just made. And it's going to deliver to each well. Okay, so we're going to cover up with a thin cover so it keeps it from evaporating. Now, since they're inoculated, they need to be incubated at 37 degrees for 7 days. So we put them in a little biohazard bag, keeps everything nice and safe, and keeps it from evaporating. And then we put it over here. This goes into our incubator. Stays in there for 1 week. So we will read them next week.
And that's susceptibility.
Susceptibilities. So what we have here is a tray. This is a slow grower. It says slow grower for mycobacteria. And we use this particular one for MAI. And we also have, when we set them up for each patient, we have an MAI control. And that's read a week after it's been set up. We have also a Staph aureus control, which is read the day after it was set up, because it's a bacteria. So we record the results on this particular sheet here. And this sheet here has the drugs that are being used, all the way down here, and then we also have a growth control to see if it's growing in the with the absence of drug. Then we have a purity check, and the purity check is done on a blood plate like this to see if any bacterial contamination is occurring at all. If anything grows on that plate, then we have to cancel and repeat the susceptibility. And so we have acceptable ranges here for our quality control. So these are the acceptable ranges, and then we record our actual results. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is read our MAI control. This is our sterility plate, so there's nothing growing on it for our MAI control, so that's good. This is our tray. This is MAI. And we use ATCC 700898 is our number. Okay. And always have to have it so it's reading forward here. And I record my results on a custom plate format. And this is equal to what we are seeing on the tray. So we have drugs going all across. The drug going across here is called erythromycin. Stops here and jumps back over to here. So we read, when we're reading until we see no growth. So we would see growth, and then we would see no growth, and that would be our endpoint. This particular drug is rifabutin. This one is ethambutol. This is INH, isoniazide. This one here is moxifloxacin, rifampin, SXT or trimethoprim sulfamethoxazole. This one is amikacin. This is linezolid, ciprofloxacin, streptomycin, ethianamide, and our positive control. And there's a doxycycline here also. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to circle what I see. And if you, I don't know if you can get a shot off of here. Sometimes it's an angle that you can see, and sometimes it's not. But I see right there, there's where we would read no growth, okay? And this one here would have no growth, and that means it's the very first well. And this one here would be there, there, there. Then we would have no growth there, and then we would have no growth here, no growth here, and then we'd have one there, this one here, this one here, this one at the very top, this one about there, and this well here is our positive growth control. Make sure it's growing with no antibiotics. Okay, so I'm just going to circle what I see. Okay, so these we will put into the computer later on in terms of whether the organism will be susceptible or not. This is our control. Now we have a patient, if you want, if you'd like to just get an idea. We're not going to read them all, but this patient, you can see how it looks. Okay, and on this particular worksheet, our primary antimicrobial to report out for MAI would be clarithromycin. Those are reported out, that drug, for MAI, and for anything that would be resistant to clarithromycin, the doctor may request to have secondary microbials reported out also. And so that would be moxifloxacin, amikacin, linezolid, ciprofloxacin, and doxycycline.